amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert, Cam Water.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the fishies.
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around. Woo.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannon's.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan De Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. It's Michael Conchar that's got around Dylan De Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullajar's got past, so Dylan... light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan De Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in, we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
green and they're
this
off.
first lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannon's,
We've also got Shannon's Home and Contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert, Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble's bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tanek and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't committed, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we get some good runs. Dodds just absolutely competitive here. Really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are watching from. Welcome back to Sim Racing World TV. And welcome back to the IMSA Shadow Series, brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools for not round number 6, round number 7 of Season 1 of 2024 as we come to the longest track on the calendar, the Nurburgring. The Gemstrecke long variant of the Nordschleife, a very, very technical and challenging circuit as well that'll offer up more challenges than anybody could even ask for. I'm your commentator here tonight, Hamish Bono. Joining alongside me for the second week in a row is Connor Nixon. Connor, Daytona last time out was a pretty straightforward cookie cutter sort of a race. A couple of moments that happened, that were quite exciting for us. But I think tonight, we haven't really got quite the numbers we may have been hoping for. I think tonight maybe it's more or less going to be about who's going to be able to survive for the 45 minutes. Qualifying is not necessarily going to have anything important or, it's not going to have the weight to it as what it normally would.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be, hello everyone. I should say that. First of all, great to be back. Round 2 being back in the box. I know it feels like a while ago that we did Daytona, but yeah, it was only last minute, it feels like. But it's going to be an interesting round. Obviously, it's 28 Ks, which, 28 Ks in general, going to get groceries or anything's long, but doing it around a racetrack is ridiculous in my opinion. But it's going to be an interesting round. And like you said, surviving is definitely going to be a huge factor around this joint. I don't think it's going to be a race like Daytona where it was all pace and consistency. It's going to be who can survive tonight.
Well, I think you mentioned consistency. It may not be a kind of face value factor that we're going to have, but to be able to have that, to be able to save the car and to be able to stay in the race for the 45 minutes, that will take consistency to not make any mistakes around such a long circuit, such a treacherous circuit as well. I mean, Connor, it's one of those tracks that you'll think you're in one place, but in fact you're in another. Like it can be quite deceiving unless you've done many a lap here. Even then it can catch you out sometimes. But you know what? Even across 45 minutes, this race will likely fly by for the drivers because they won't be doing many laps around here in that 45 minutes. Probably only, I think it's about 6 or 7 laps they could get in within that 45. So it could be very interesting to see what plays out. If we get any safety cars, how safety cars will work, of course. If we do get any at all, I don't know if Race Control will be willing to call them or not. But, we're certainly getting a couple more in.
I was going to say, that's going to be very hard with the safety car. Like, obviously, you've got the GTPs, which are, let's be honest, lightning fast. So it's going to be interesting trying to grid everyone back up, unless it's a virtual yellow, which could be a good solution at a certain part of the track. You have to slow down, like the Nurburgring. I think that would be a great solution, but if not, safety car is probably not going to be a big factor here tonight. I think they'll go, yep, you can tow, move on, because I think pulling out a safety car will just be chaos. But if we do get a safety car, well, it's going to be quite interesting, isn't it, Hamish?
It will be, and I think if we are going to get one, it's going to be early in the proceedings, I would say, Connor. I'd say if an incident bad enough is going to happen, it's going to happen on the first lap when the cars are nice and close together, and it gives Race Control a little bit of time just to kind of reset and recalibrate if they want to do another safety car in the race after that. But I think, we've got a couple minutes left in practice before we get into qualifying, of course. There are, I believe, there's now 10 GTPs in the session, 6 GTD cars. So not quite at the level as what we had last week for Daytona, but I still think it could give us some good racing action here tonight. And not too many outs in terms of championship competitors here tonight, which is good to see. But what we have got is the opportunity for some people to gain some important points on other drivers. If anyone has an incident, they get taken out. You know, one of the guys who maybe haven't finished on the podium yet this season could sneak one again just by being consistent and staying in it until the very end. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different to when we were at Le Mans, which is not quite as long as this circuit, but it is arguably a bit easier than this one based on the fact that it is 2 straights with a couple of corners involved. But yeah, I mean, let us know. I mean, like, what kind of racing experience have you had around here, Connor? I mean, I'm sure everyone's done laps around the Nurburgring in their time. I've done a couple, but I'm sure you've done a 24-hour or 2 in your time, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it's quite funny. I've always, the first 24-hour I had was, I actually avoided it because I couldn't pay for both the tracks because you need to buy the GP track and the Nordschleife. So I missed that one. That was when I first got into iRacing, which was like, I think it was 8 months in. I'm a 3-year driver now, which, oh God, I was a young whippersnapper back in the day, but no, 3 years in and going strong. But it was, that was the first one. The second one, we died in the first 2 laps. That was from my teammate, Timothy Vaughan, cough, wink, wink. Then, yeah, since then, that was last year. But yeah, I've done like laps around here, but I've never done like more than probably 3 hours around this joint. So I know where we're going and a lot of factors like that. I've got a lot of experience around racetracks and cars. I'm probably more professional when it comes to V8 supercars, probably GT3s and your NASCARs. But for this should be quite interesting. And cars are rolling out as we're talking away and blabbering on, which there'll be a lot of that tonight. But going out now. And Hamish, I don't know if you know about this. Did you know about the secret about qualifying around here? Did you know?
Oh, a secret about qualifying? What is the secret about qualifying around here, Connor?
Well, we watch on board with Mr. Frogleaf. You actually drive around the GP circuit, and when you're about to go on the Nordschleife, you turn right. Now, if you turn right, reset, you actually go to the end of the Nordschleife. I feel like I'm doing that right. We're going to do it like that. But if you do that, Nordschleife. But if you do that, you can reset and get to the back of the Nordschleife and then start your lap. Instead of doing this whole out lap, go 28 Ks, which takes 8 minutes. And if the qualifying's only 15 minutes, well, you can do the math. You don't even have 1 lap. You actually get 1 lap, but it's very touch and go if you don't get an off track in 28 Ks, which, if you think about it, Hamish, Bathurst is 6 Ks, right? Yeah. Which, in my eyes, that's a very long track. Let's be honest.
You want one, though, that, you know what? I feel like Bathurst and Sebring, very similar length. Sebring feels longer, but it's not. It's the same with Silverstone as well.
Yep.
Like, Silverstone and Sebring are both shorter than Bathurst, but you do a lap around there and it feels like it takes longer than doing a lap at Bathurst.
Do you reckon they've calculated with Bathurst that so he's going to go, this should be interesting. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
And then there might be something in the regs that actually stops the drivers from doing that tactic, though. I'm not sure about it.
Let me have a look.
I know there was a thing from iRacing. I believe it was actually during the 24-hour last year where there were people doing it in qualifying, and I think they actually called them out for it as well, and they said that they shouldn't be doing it. Although, I don't like honestly, right, in qualifying, it should be like practice where you can actually load in on the back straight coming up towards the GP circuit for qualifying. You should be able to load in from what is the if you recall, if you ever played Forza, which was actually the pit lane for Forza, was the
how do you say Forza?
Forza.
Oh, God.
Well, it is how you say it. It's Forza.
No, it's Forza. Anyway.
The Italian pronunciation is Forza, but anyway, regardless, we're being pedantic at this point. But regardless of Forza pronunciations, their layout for the Nordschleife, which does not include the Nurburgring GP circuit, is like the pit lane that you go out of to actually do a public lap of the Nurburgring. So like the non-racing pits, where they bring all the public in and they go out. So it should be like that, I think, whenever you're doing a qualifying around here, is your qualifying should actually not start from the race pits. It should start from the public access pits, which are on that back straight.
I think they've been told to not do it because I know Mr. Faulkner. And he's a bit of a he's a man that if there's a grey area, he's gonna find where he can stand in that grey area. Oh, is that Adam Hughes in the Audi?
That was Matt Feely just there in the Audi.
Is that a Whitey's Pie livery?
That is a CXR livery.
Which is Whitey's Pies.
Yeah, Palmerston Bakery.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so used to back in the day where I'm going to sound old saying this, but 2 years ago they used to run Whitey's Pies on the side, and that's the big sponsor. Now
I know from when I ran Simsa, there was a separate team that also ran Whitey's Pies, which I assume was drivers who used to race for CXR, then made their own team, and it just called it Whitey's Pies, or it might have just been the same.
Well, Whitey's Pies race with Vermilion now, so yeah, so we've got. It probably that actually would make sense. I've never thought about it, but Whitey's Pies is actually on the back of the Vermilion car, so that would make sense.
I think that was actually Ben's car when he raced in Simsa last year, because I'm pretty sure he raced in it.
That's probably what we're thinking of, eh?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, there's actually I like that livery. That's a cool looking livery. I love purple and white. I think
it is a nice upgrade to what they ran last year. And I like the artistic vision they've put into this by having like the almost blank female face on the side of the car. It's something different and something unique.
I think it looks like a real race car, if that makes sense.
It does. I think it works on the GT car more than any other car because you can get some of those more eclectic liveries on a GT car than on a supercar or something. Yeah.
I think it's the angles of a GT3 you can really show what you want. Like, well, we noticed as Vermilion, we noticed that certain cars just don't go sometimes. So we did a sprint car and it just didn't go. But like your V8, your Porsche, like the Porsche looks really good. It looks nice and mean. But yeah, like I've noticed with a lot of teams recently, they've been putting more artistic things onto the cars because, there's teams out there that have been going for like 10 years. Like I know Synergy Sim Racing, who are on the V8 side, they've been running for like 10 years now. They're celebrating 10 years. So it's pretty fascinating. Like if you went for 10 years, you've got to come up with a paint every year. Like it'd be pretty tiring, I think. But it'd be exciting every year, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah, I think I question teams who change their livery every season because eventually you're going to run out of ideas. But it gives them a lot to play with when it comes to like retro liveries, for example. So before I took over Infinity, we used to change our liveries probably every 1 or 2 seasons, which is fair enough. We wanted a bit of a refresh every now and again. And it's given me a giant backlog of retros that I can now run whenever we have a retro round. And I just so happened to use 4 out of, I think, the 6 of them in our last retro round that we ran in because we ran 5 drivers. So, But yeah, I think it's interesting for sure to have that happen. Oh, Josh, a little bit of a blip there through there. So,
what were we watching, Josh? Not Ben.
Yeah, this is Josh. Here's Ben.
Here we go. The big man himself.
You know what? I think for this once, we're actually going to have our track map up because we are actually going to need it to know where cars are.
Yeah.
It's just going to make it a little bit easier for us on such a long track. And again, you can get lost around here very easily. So on this one occasion, ladies and gentlemen, we will run the track map here tonight.
Do you actually want to know a bit of a fact about Mr. Ben Faulkner, Hamish? Do you want to know a little bit of a fact?
Sure.
So you know how I called him Big Man?
Yeah.
This man is 6'8". I'm not kidding.
Oh, you're making me feel short now because I'm 6'4".
Yeah. That's how tall. I'm only 5'11". I'm a shorty.
Oh, hang on. You have 2 heights, Connor. Let's be honest with our viewers here for a second.
Yeah.
You've got 2 heights. Let's be fair.
Yeah, you got a point. So 4'5" in my wheelchair, then 5'11" out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got a valid point there. Yeah. I'm 4'5" in a chair, which is actually quite tall. Because I've got a lot of torso.
I have a longer torso as well. My legs are not actually particularly I'm not lanky, but my torso is long. So.
There's a lot of lanky guys out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think people are starting their laps in the GDP. I'm just seeing on that track map there.
I think which I believe Adam Simpson is one of the first to do so already. So get our qualifying stuff up. I know Joshua Houghton started his. He's on an actual lap. So watch Josh's
no
lap as
sectors?
no sectors
Yeah.
just yet. He hasn't run up into the first sector just yet. So
Yeah, okay. So he'll be the first
no,
GT3.
Yeah, I think he's actually coming up to the. See, this is why it's so confusing at the moment. No, he's coming up to the carousel. So he'll be starting his lap fairly soon.
No, this is the back of the track. Oh, God, he got close there. For an outlap, that's a lot of push, isn't it, really?
It is. It is indeed a lot of push.
Oh. So we're 9 minutes in now. That's crazy. So they're gonna get like one lap in.
Yeah, 1 or 2 laps. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. And the people who left the pits real early, are gonna be off a little bit. And I've just noticed that Mick Clifton is not on my list of drivers, so we'll add him in as well. But yeah, so this is the kind of conversation we're gonna have here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, at Nurburgring. It's gonna go from talking about some of the action to talking about some random topics. So give us some random topics in the chat. It'll help us out a little bit, having a chat, obviously. And you know, it's one of those circuits, isn't it, Connor? It's like if you watch the WEC event here, or the 24-hour of Nurburgring, there's not a whole lot of racing chatter that necessarily goes on during those broadcasts, is there?
Yeah, it's like a podcast. That's what I call it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like
and
that.
luckily, I'm very good at that, so we're covered. So Brendan's actually on a really good lap. Maybe we should go on him for a bit.
Yeah, we'll check.
77.
We'll
but
see
did Adam? I think Adam might have off-tracked it. I think.
Quite.
Yeah, I think Scott's on a lap. So the frog leg boys did
Adam's
well.
in the GT car, so I think it's bringing up his earlier, just like Josh's, as he was coming up towards the back straight.
Okay.
So I think it brings it up slightly early. But
It's going to be so confusing. Actually, let me pull up some telemetry. I've got some really good telemetry. So I'll load it into the server. But I think for tonight, it's going to be for like these GTP drivers. God, it's pretty confusing. GTP, GTD.
I know. I feel no. I feel bad for like John Hindorf, who has to do that every single month for IMSA. Although he's been on it for long enough that he would be used to it now. John Hindorf
I'm trying to.
is the English commentator for IMSA. He does as well, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Real life. Yeah.
Because I remember, I remember a little bit of behind the curtain. I remember when I started doing SIMSA, and
how do you say IMSA?
So this is IMSA, and then I did the iRacing League, which was SIMSA, which was last year. It was the simulation version of IMSA. And I commentated it, and saying GTP. I think you were driving, actually.
Oh,
I
God.
can't remember.
What?
We had the Daytona 8-hour, the Sebring 7-hour, the...
You know, the funny thing, I left a team in between that, so I didn't actually get a drive in that. So, shout out 19. Yep. But
that was like one of my first big deals of doing a commentary run. Was I started Vets and then I took that on. But when I started doing that,
a big role.
Yeah. Like we did all of the Daytona 8-hour. My computer actually crashed 7 hours in, had to reload and then come back in with an hour left. But
that's pretty.
I found myself saying GTP and GTD like John Hindorf would. Like just how I was commentating about the GTD, the GTP class.
The GTP going around the track. Yeah.
But
That's my worst impression I could do. But
yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it on command. It just naturally happens.
Yeah.
And you catch yourself and you're like, oh, sound like John now.
Yeah, I was gonna say like for these GTP drivers, that was close. There's a championship I'm going to do, which is Supercars NZ. They're doing a GT3 and GTP season. My apologies. Brains just went to mush. I can smell dinner, so that's probably what it is. But they're doing a series, and they're throwing me in a GTP, but I don't know how these guys do it just like around this Nürburgring, where you flat stick everywhere, and you basically got to hold on. You've really got no error, really, do you?
Well, I don't even know. I know that the WEC event runs the WEC layout of just the GP circuit. I don't even think they actually run the combined. So it's weird that they actually have it on the official calendar for the IMSA series on iRacing. Obviously, this series shadows the calendar.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting they've actually gone for the full circuit when in real life, although they don't have the deal with WEC, that they don't actually run this circuit. They run the GP, the shorter layout, but as the WEC variant.
I think it's a bit of an iRacing thing, and everyone loves it because obviously the GT3 drivers would froth it.
Yeah.
I think the GTP drivers would like it as well, and you can see here. We're running on Brent.
This is Hasler, who's on an absolutely brilliant lap at the moment.
How's that wiggle?
He's had 4 sectors that are not purple across the whole lap. Like, it's been absolutely insane. He's coming up to go onto the back straight, and this is going to be an absolutely mega run down to the line for him. Grotch has pipped him, though, in that last sector that they've just come through. So Grotch is going to finish his lap before Hasler does. If we find where Grotch is. There is actually, no, he's coming up to the back straight now, actually. I do apologise. So, in fact, Hasler's actually ahead of him. Matty Gerard in the chat saying, hey, fellas. And then Mark Cochran saying, I might race. I need my internet to speed up with these updates. Yeah, I only had a 1.9 gig update. That took me about nearly 10 minutes. I don't know why, but the shorter updates, I don't know if it's the same with you, Connor, shorter updates, like the smaller ones, take longer than the bigger updates on iRacing for some reason. It's quite weird.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah.
So, Mr. Hasler will be the first to cross the line. We'll see what sort of lap time he can get. A 7-minute 19. He's going to pull it up. He's then going to go back in the pits to have a fresh run with fresh rubber. Can you really blame him at this point? Why would you want to try and do another lap on the same set of tyres? Grotch is going to come across the line. I don't think this is going to be pole. It is, though, actually, to be fair. He was 1/10 quicker than,
that's crazy.
Than Scotty. So, and he had less purple sectors, but that must mean that he was just so much quicker in those other sectors.
Ty Delaney is on a lap as well.
Adam there as well. So, a couple of fishies out there.
I tell you what, like, I love the fishy guys, but Adam's had a bit of a shocking season, hasn't he? Like, a couple of DNFs. Yeah, just a couple of rounds that were not really good. But talking about fishy, Ty Delaney's had a really good season. For the young fella.
He has. Across all categories, he's been improving so much now. Off the pace a little bit here tonight. Again, though, qualifying doesn't necessarily have as big of an effect around here because of the consistency factor. Doesn't really matter that he's 30 seconds off the pace as long as he's comfortable and he's clean across that lap. Now, you gave us a little secret about the Nurburgring, Connor. You want to know a secret about the fishy boys? Not only the drivers here tonight, but across their team. They have 365 birthdays in a year.
I've heard about this.
Yeah. Every
I'm
day
gonna
is their birthday, apparently.
Yeah, I'm going to put a comment on this, right? Brace for impact, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a bit weird.
It's funny, and it is weird. But I did pull it out on Blake Delaney in the post race chat on Sunday night. And you did appreciate it, so I thought it was quite funny that we pulled that one out.
It is, I do find it funny, but, like, it's a bit weird at the same time, because I'm like, a couple of boys. Like, I love Angus, love Delaney, like, I talk to all of them, but it's like, come on, boys, what day are we on now? But, it's funny, though.
It is funny. Maddie in the chat saying, Ty's confidence in after-race chats, and it has improved heats too. And again, like, it, like, there's nothing to necessarily be scared of coming to have a chat to us after a race. You know, it's more or less like it's just a chat, isn't it? You know, when we're asking about the race, there's no pressure. It's just, you know, some people have to try and just remember their sponsors at the end of the thing, but it's nothing necessarily ultra formal about it. You just got to remember not to swear. That's the only big thing that the drivers need to remember in those post-race chats. But I guess, you know, the more confident you get in it and the more confident you get in yourself. Interesting that the Vermilion boys are not going for a tow down the straight.
I'm just looking. They both got off. I think so. Is that Ben on the right?
Yeah, that's Ben that's just come past Josh. So I'm surprised that Josh actually hasn't given Ben the tow, seeing as Ben is on an Uber lap.
Okay, Josh has given... Okay, I'll see what's happened. Josh has had an off track and he's let Ben through. Greg Barber's just put the first lap time down, so that's a purple one. Adam Hughes, though, look at the timing sectors there, so he's on a good one. They're all in the same chat, so I can imagine it's very ultra competitive. Right, Ben Faulkner's going to come across the line, the 6'8" monster, and let's have a look.
Let's see what he does in qualifying. Is it good enough for pole? Oh, he must have copped an off track.
Oh, he must have. So,
it hasn't counted.
Lap 2. See, this is what I'm kind of curious about, right? And I feel like you can more clarify this. I'm asking you a question, Hamish, which is outrageous when you think about it. But do you reckon going for a lap 2 around here in a GT3 would you have any tyre left? You reckon, or do you reckon you'd be alright?
I think that because I find sometimes my own racing in GT cars as well, the tyres can come good after, say, 2 or 3 laps on a regular track. You're doing, say, 4 laps of Bathurst in 1 lap around here. So maybe by the end of the lap, tyres might be a little bit worn. But I think you can get away with it in a GTD car compared to the prototype. But the problem is they have to. They don't have enough time to come back into the pits. Like, tow back to pits, change tyres, do an out lap, and then do a quick lap, because it'll get cut off at half an hour. So they won't have time to actually finish a lap if they're not going to finish it within 2 minutes at the end of the 30. So they actually have to keep going. They can't afford, if their lap hasn't counted, they actually can't afford to do a whole other out lap and then do the fast lap, because again, they're doing the whole 10-minute out lap. So if you look at it, they would have come in, changed tyres, done a 10-minute out lap. They'd be coming round at 29 minutes to start their next lap. Yeah. They wouldn't get a lap in, so they'd have to. They have to just keep going.
Do you remember, though, if it's an endurance race, not a sprint race, they do add on extra time when you're in qualifying and you've started a lap. So you could do it, I reckon.
The leeway, though, in these sessions is, I believe, 2.5 minutes. Unless it's a straight cutoff. If it's a straight cutoff at half an hour, then they definitely can't do it, because they wouldn't be able to finish the lap. Where if it's 2.5 minutes, they still wouldn't have enough time. So
yeah, unless you calculated it very well and you're in a TTR.
Or if you're able to cheese it and cut the corner and then tow back, as we said. So unless they could cheese it, then they could get an out lap in. Then they could get a fast lap in. But again, you can't afford to do it at the end of the day. So Adam Hughes comes down the straight. And I'll tell you what, you know what? One of the toughest things this week, again, a little bit of behind the curtain for everyone watching at home. I make the thumbnails for all the streams on SRWtv. One of the things that annoys me, because I normally get the track map off iRacing. I just take a screenshot of it and then I remove the background. Nurburgring does not have a track map with no corner names on it. And you know how many corners around here? Every single one has a corner name.
Hang on. Let me guess how many corners. I feel like I know this. I was going to say 56, but I know in the back of my head there is no God's green earth there'd be a way. Adam Hughes puts a time right behind Greg Barber. I'm going to say like 180 or something around those lines.
I'm just searching it up just so I have an actual exact number. Regardless of the number, though, every single corner has a corner name, and it is on the track map. So I actually had to look on Google Images to find one that had no corner names on it. And it just makes life a whole lot harder, because even on there is hardly any that you can find that look good enough on a thumbnail. So it makes it a little bit difficult for the back end, but these things are sent to try us in there. But Greg Barber, provisional pole position at the moment, though, Connor, for GTD class. But again, qualifying around here, it doesn't really have as much of an effect on the race as other circuits, does it? It is just one of those things that it's not so important. The consistency in the race is what is important.
I reckon. Here's my thing. Greg Barber's starting P1. If someone puts another lap time down, obviously we'll get pole. But if Greg Barber's starting P1, Greg Barber's a lovely guy, but I've already said this on a stream. He's the type of guy that will just let you go, right, and be very nice about how he drives. He's gonna have Adam Hughes, Ben Faulkner, Josh Horton behind him, so that's gonna be fun for him going to turn 1 and having those guys behind him. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, not even just that as well. Andrew Dyson's in there too, Harry Dodds, Callan Hodgkinson. Like, these drivers, they're no one to sleep at the end of the day. They are all competitive. I don't know if Greg lets them go. I see Greg as a little bit of a Craig Lowndes type. Right? Very nice, very humble outside of the car, but when it comes down to the nitty and gritty, he has that helmet on. He is like an absolute demon behind the wheel. Like, he just does not let you have it if you're battling for a win. So,
I hope it's not going to be 2014 Craig Lowndes at Bathurst, but anyway.
No. I'm thinking like 2006, like prime Craig Lowndes, where he gives no space at all. He just wrestles on track.
Yeah, I can imagine that. See, you know, the funny thing is about that whole story, I was only 2 when that, Bathurst was going on. So
you are making me feel so old right now, Connor. I remember watching. I'll tell you a nice little story. I remember watching that Bathurst 1000, and it was the year that Peter Brock passed away, as a lot of people would likely know. And I remember watching that, and Craig Lowndes was my favourite driver. I was, I think, 8 years old when that race happened, and I cried when I saw him win that race because I saw the amount of emotion that was on him, and I felt sad but happy for him as well, because he had to farewell one of his good friends, but then he also had to drive 6 hours, 1,000 Ks around Bathurst with Jamie Whincup, just to get there, and not even win by a whole lot. Like, it was a tough win for them as well. So it's I remember that race very vividly, watching that live. So it was one of the better 1000s, I would say. But
yeah, I think it's the meme, like, not the meme, but the thing about NASCAR, right? When Dale, no, it wasn't Dale. Oh yeah, when Dale died, NASCAR died. That whole story, right?
Yeah.
Do you almost feel like with the Australian market, this is going to be controversial, but I think it's quite funny. Do you reckon it's almost like that now with the supercars in a way?
When the Australian manufacturing of vehicles ended?
Yeah, or when, Shane's left or Scotty left, or, when we got Mercedes.
I would say it changed the structure, definitely. What I think a lot of people need to remember is V8 Supercars as its entity has only existed since the late 90s. Prior to that, it was the Australian Touring Car Championship, and you had multiple different international manufacturers alongside Ford and Holden. It wasn't just Ford and Holden. That's only been a thing since, I think, 1997 or 1998. Prior to that, they had Australian Touring Cars with them. So it's, I think...
As a big joke, though.
I think V8 Supercars, in its entity of Ford versus Holden, you can't really claim that it died then, because they brought in, obviously, international manufacturers in 2013 as Mr. Gowan's struggles to end his lap. He will now not get a lap time in for qualifying, unfortunately for him. So Brandon Groch only has 3 minutes left until he could be named pole sitter here tonight. So I would say that, well, V8 Supercars died when they changed the name from V8 Supercars to Supercars. That was when that was when it died. Not died. That was when it went away from being what it was in the mid 2000s and the late 90s, right?
I'm going to sound like a Gen Z, right? But I reckon the best era, now everyone's going to shoot me here, but I reckon the best era was when we had Jamie Whincup, Craig Lowndes, Scott McLaughlin, and Shane Van Gisbergen on the same track. That in my opinion, I reckon that's been the peak of supercars, because we had Shane, who's in NASCAR now, and we had Scott in IndyCar now, and then we had Craig and Whincup in a car. So in my opinion, I reckon that was the best era. But
I'll give you what I think is probably the most controversial opinion you're ever going to hear about supercars. And a lot of people will likely give me flack for this, but let me cook on this. Peter Brock is the most overrated supercars driver of all time.
Correct. I agree with that.
Because if you'd put him in modern machinery, he would not have been nearly as good as what he was. He got an extra bathos swim because they allowed him to change cars mid-race. So,
oh wow,
you know, they allowed him to swap cars because his car crashed and he went into the sister car, and then continued the race. So, I think statistically, no matter how you feel about him, arguably Jamie Whincup is the best supercars driver of all time. Is he the greatest of all time? Again, stats-wise, they say yes. I think Craig Lowndes is the greatest supercars driver of all time, but I still think he actually should have won at least 2 more championships in his time. He probably should have won 2006, and he probably should have won, I think it was 2012 or 2013 against Whincup. So
I think, I honestly, I think that's very good. Like, it's a lot of old heads would go, no, Peter Brock's the best. But I think back then it wasn't a sport what we've got now, where it's highly competitive.
Yeah, it's like comparing an apple to a potato. Like, not saying that Peter Brock is a potato, but they are completely different. You know,
I think it's completely different. Yeah, like I think if how do I say this without annoying about 2,000 people? I think it's like
this will annoy an even different demographic. It's like comparing like Dale Earnhardt to like Jeff Gordon or whoever a modern GOAT is, right? But even though they're still racing the same circuits, the cars have changed completely in previous years, especially to what they were back in the mid-70s or mid-60s. So it's like we can, you know, it's the same with Formula One, same with any race series, even in IMSA as well. See, we segued it all the way back here at the end of qualifying. You'd even compare it for IMSA as well. You cannot compare the decades or the eras in motorsport between drivers. Certain drivers you can, because they're on kind of like you can compare Hamilton to Schumacher to Senna, because you could argue that if Senna was in modern machinery, he still would have been just as good because he drove around how poor the car actually was.
Yeah.
But
Schumacher, I reckon Schumacher. I was watching some onboards of how he was driving that car. How he threw a car into a corner and still got a good exit blows my mind. I mean, the cars were completely different in different tyre, but to make a car, I think, you know what, I would actually...
Michael made that Ferrari what it was. The Ferrari was an absolute pig. When he joined Ferrari, he was at the test track every single day to make that car better.
Right,
He did what Niki Lauda did for Ferrari back in the 70s. Like, he completely, he was there with them to make the car better, and it worked for them. Matty Gerard making a great comment, best of their era. You cannot compare you cannot compare across eras, but you can compare within their eras. Right?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think I mean, this is the most controversial SRW's ever got, but I'm on board for a ride for tonight. I mean,
you know what? I think this is one of the most marketable episodes of IMSA we're ever going to have, because we're going to have great racing around Nurburgring, where we can see some guys cut some absolutely ballistic lap times throughout this 45 minutes of the race. But we're also going to be able to chat about motorsport as well, which I think is going to be really, really good. And I think it's going to open up a whole new market for us here at SRW. Hell, maybe we get a podcast going at some point. Who knows? I already do one podcast. Maybe we just slot in another one, fill my week with more content.
I think we pause there for a second. If you want to see Mr. Hamish's podcast, go to V8 Vets and watch both of us on the 31st talk about absolute bollocks. It'll be good fun.
Yep. Beyond the Apex over on the V8 Vets YouTube channel. Next episode comes out this Sunday morning. We go live between 9:30 10 a.m. normally on Sunday, Australian Eastern Daylight Standards Time, or Vic, New South Wales time, because we are coming up to Daylight Savings Time ending. And then, next episode after that will be the 31st of March, where my special guest will be Mr. Connor Nixon, and we'll get to talk about motorsport, we'll get to talk about sim racing, Talk about some of the challenges that you face in sim racing as well, and yeah, and it'll be good.
Everything else that's going on.
Yep.
I feel like this is going from a hobby to a job to a profession at this point.
Yep, can confirm as well. Greg Barber's actually going to be able to finish his lap because the time is actually not counting up from 29.59 up to 30.
Yeah, okay.
So Greg will actually get the opportunity to end his lap here. But
do you reckon he's got enough track? Because he's got a couple of oranges there.
If he's still going, I'd say no. But again, the oranges just mean that he hasn't actually bettered the time. He could have gotten as good as with an orange. So he could have gone,
very true.
You know, 1/100 slower. Still could be on for a good lap. He's got 2 purples. So it's not necessarily going to be a poor lap from him here at the end of quali. But yeah, I think and you could. It's the same with any sport, not just motorsport. You could say football, cricket, European football. Although European football, I think actually you can compare across eras because it hasn't really changed very much over time.
I think with any... Here we go. Another controversy. I think with anything with that's not motorsport, I think you can compare because it's all being athletic.
Yeah.
And
from
that side, I think you can.
Certain things do change, obviously, across that time, but it's not as a drastic change as in motorsport, where motorsport has grown to the point now from being a Sunday driver, it has moved to you literally need to be at the top of your game. If we look at 25 years ago, right, end of the 90s, even the start into the 2000s, you look at the supercars grid, they had nearly 40 drivers every single week. A third of the grid were Sunday drivers. They were people who just owned a race car and they came and raced like a regular club day, and then the rest were your main gamers. Where now they are limited to the 24 or 26 main gamers. You know, they're full-on athletes. They're trained. Like you would never see a. I've got to look at him. He has the greatest racing driver name ever. Just give me 2 seconds. But you'd never see.
You search him up. While you search him up, I'm going to talk about bollocks about Greg Barber. It's not bollocks. He's actually on a great lap. He's just on the main straight now. We're actually going to talk about race cars now. Sim race cars. But down the main straight. I was going to say, Matthew Gerard must be loving this conversation right now. We've covered that many topics in about 30 minutes. So strap in, ladies and gentlemen. An hour of bollocks coming your way. But coming down the big hill now. He's got to come through this tricky section now, so he's got to hit the brakes nice and hard, straight the car up, there it is, turn left, open up the corners as much as you can, hit the apex. I was going to say, I might as well just call Greg Barber Matt Campbell. I think that's if you get pole around here, you're a Matt Campbell. He's got to come across the line, and what does he do actually? Does he improve? He does. Good lap time there from Greg Barber, cruise across. But Greg Barber's got some pace, so I think he's put some laps in. So Greg doing well. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And qualifying's going to finish up now. No one on the racetrack, so Greg took a pull over. And that will be it.
Okay, I found it. So it was Dougal McDougall. Right. You're never going to see a Dougal McDougall type of driver. That's a real deep cut. If you ever want a deep cut of a supercars driver, Dougal McDougall is a proper deep cut. You'll never see one in supercars again.
Could you imagine, like, your sim racing and someone called you that? Could you imagine? Oh man, that would be that'd be the worst thing ever. But we got to finish up here.
Yeah, we are. And it was only 7 drivers that actually set a lap time in qualifying. Everyone had an attempt, or at least made an attempt, but they just weren't able to get a lap in. But again, qualifying is not everything around here, and it's all going to come down to the race here tonight. So we'll wait for our qualifying to get finalised for us, and then we'll get into our racing action. Our one race, 45 minutes around the Nurburgring. We've actually gained quite a few drivers out there in that period of time. We've gone up to about, I want to say just under 20 drivers. So still got some good numbers. Could be on for some good battles out on track. But again, the consistency is going to be key. It'll be interesting to see what the strategies are in terms of fuel and how many laps they can actually get out of these cars with the limited fuel numbers on board for both the prototype and the GTD car as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting with that, with fuel. How much they burn. Sorry, I barely listened to that because I was burping after dinner, so apologies for that.
You're all right. You're okay.
I was trying to not sound like an absolute pig on the comms, but Matty Gerard just saying good yarns. So yes, the yarns will not stop, mate. We'll probably cover it across them.
They will continue on for sure, but qualifying has now completed. We'll be able to bring up our starting grid for tonight's race. So, as mentioned, there are only 4 GTP drivers who are actually able to set a lap time in qualifying there. Apparently, Matt Feely is not in my list, so I'll quickly add Matt in. So he is actually on the grid for us here.
I'll go through the list while you do that.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
So, typical things. So the Frog Leap boys on top for the GTPs. I feel like a different team needs to throw a different car up there. But Brendan Grosh in P1, the car 77, putting a 716. Scott Hassler in P2. Adam Simpson in the Fishy car. There's actually a lockout for Fishy as well. Adam Simpson and Ty Delaney. Then Doug Gowans in P5. And then we've got Jake Edwards in the Crisscross. He was really quick at Daytona, but he had an unfortunate event where he took tyres and it didn't work out, so maybe he'll go back at it again. James Glasspool, he's in P7 in the Simrigs DPR car. I've seen a lot of DPR cars getting around. Greg Barber, Matt Campbell, trophy for P1 for the GTDs. Adam Hughes in P2 in the Crisscross, so that's a Crisscross lockout there. Mick in P10. That's actually Anthony Visma's team, I think.
Yeah,
that
Accelerate Sim Racing. Yep.
Yeah.
They came out of the embers of Taipan Esports.
Right.
So alongside East West Racing, June Kelly Logistics as well. So 2 teams were formed off the back of that one.
Roger. Matt Feely in P11, which I think he's a GT. Is he a GT driver?
GTD driver. Yeah. That's why he's classified on that
cool.
part of the grid.
Adam Dyson in P12. He's been a very fast competitor in every car that I can think of. Then Ben Faulkner, the Vermilion Motorsports car. He's been pretty, I'd say, dominant the last season, helped out by Lewis. So hopefully he can get another win for himself. Harry Dodds in the Frog Leap Juice Racing car. We've seen Dodds around for years. He's very competitive. Consistency is not his biggest strong suit, but he is quick. So you're starting in P14. Callan in P15. Mark in is that 16? Yep, P16 Apex Esports. Seen those guys get a little bit faster over the season, so it's good to see them down there. Josh Horton in P17. I feel bad.
If you don't know how to pronounce your own teammate's last name.
No, I say that I double correct myself because it annoys the hell out of him. So that's why I do it on purpose.
Okay.
Because he there's a couple of commentators and I won't name them. They say his last name, and he just fumes about it. So if I just correct myself, he's not happy about it. So that's why I keep doing it the whole stream.
I know that Mark Houghton gets his name in vets gets his name pronounced as Horton as well, and I hear someone say it, and I'm like, it's Houghton though. Like it doesn't have an A, it has an O. It's Houghton, not Horton. But. Yep.
He's a really nice guy, Mark.
He is. Yep. He's had good chats with me, and he's after getting on the podium in Vets in Split 2 quite a few times. We've had some good chats on the podium.
Oh, wow.
So it's been good.
Yeah, I remember doing Supercars NZ with him. He's done a couple of rounds, and he got a couple of podiums and stuff in that. So it's good to see he's making progress. But it'd be good to see the Vets guys. I was actually versing Scott Gamble in Pro Invitational on Wednesday. He's got mighty quick over the last couple of weeks. So enough about Vets and V8s.
Matty Gerard giving us an absolutely exceptional comment. Not only car racing chat, but an English lesson too. Hey, Mark Cochran will be loving this. Year 12 English teacher out on track. He'll love that his students will be watching this one because they're getting a Year 12 VCE English lesson on top of it as well. So. You get a bit of everything here on SRW, especially on a Friday night when we go racing around the Nurburgring. So
no, it's when I'm in the booth. you need to correct that. It's when I'm in the booth and I'm a bit more laid back. If I do my AMX stuff, more competitive, not competitive, more important. But SRW is great fun to.
You're saying that SRW is not important?
No. As a fun thing for me, I love jumping in there. So
it's not your main thing. We'll say that.
I think that's a good point. So now I'm going to get kicked off by Steve. So we're going to start this race with Frog Leap locking out the front. I'll tell you what, Frog Leap's been dominant for the last 2 seasons.
Look at all of the water animals we have at the front of the screen at the moment. A couple of frogs, couple of fishies. No chance of water here tonight, though.
That's actually... We said we were going to have rain, but you guys cancelled the rain.
Well, no, it was never confirmed. I'm glad they didn't have rain here because it would have been an absolute hellhole. You think it's already a green hell? Imagine it in the wet. It would be atrocious.
We'll mention the 24. We're going to go green here. Brendan on the front row with his teammate. We're going to go green here for the first time. Let's not get a safety car for these GDPs. Good lineup for tonight. Good tight field. No Michael Whiting, though. He's probably qualifying for Scops. And we're going to go green in a couple of seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, round 7, and we're off. GDPs are going. Brendan's got a good launch. Hassler is on the outside. Hopefully he doesn't lock up the front. Obviously, this is a really awkward section. Adam up the inside. He's going to cover off Hassler from locking in that spot for P2. So he's going to sit around the outside. Adam's just going to slot in, and it looks like Hassler's going to go into P1. And crisscross, Jake Edwards has got a good launch. He's up into P4, so he's almost under the podium. Like I said before, he's got some good pace. Adam having a bit of a wobble there, so he's got to back off from these 1-2 of Frog Leap, and I reckon the GDP would be very close to getting to the starting point, but there they are.
They've just gone down to turn 1, so we've caught them as they've come down. No big movers or shakers at this stage into turn 1. What I have noticed is Dougie Gowans has dropped about 30-odd seconds off the lead of the GTP. So I believe he's actually had an issue on the track already. We'll have to wait and see, and we'll get some confirmation of that as well. Ty Delaney's gone off track, in fact.
Juicy up the inside, making a move. Crisscross on crisscross. There's a car on the outside of the Vermeulen car. I reckon that's Ben Faulkner. He was closest. So Vermeulen car into P3 at the moment. Getting a good launch off the start for lap 1. Dodds as well is right there. So Dodds is making some really good ground with that Merc. The Merc would be pretty strong around here. I know it's the stronger car around Nurburgring, so he's probably going to use up all that Merc. And Dyson having a bit of an interesting start. Not making up too many positions, but maybe he's playing the safe game.
So Houghton and Glasspool, neither of them made the race start here tonight. Connor, what I have noticed is we're basically running a GTP race with DTM in the background because all the cars that are in GTD here tonight are all DTM competitors, even the Audi, even the Fez. We're just missing the BMW at this point for DTM action out here at the Nurburgring.
I'm a bit disappointed with no BMWs.
I love the Beamer. It's such a good car.
It's such a boring car, though.
It's boring, but like when you can get on a lap, it is fun to drive. Like you can feel the lap coming underneath you when you get it. Like when you get the setup just right, it feels incredible. Matt Feely, though, has had an incident coming onto the Nordschleifer portion of this circuit. He's lost the rear end coming out off the GP circuit into here. How's this happened for him? So he's got his CXR teammate in behind of Callan Hodgkinson. He's got Daiso up ahead of him here. He's hit the bump. That's what it was there. Hit the bump, unsettled the car. And
I reckon a bit of marbles as well. I reckon a bit of marbles would have done it too. And we're going to switch back to live now.
Here's another replay just quickly. This was Dougie Gowans. I reckon he might have just rotated it through here. That's what it was. Maybe a little bit of net code. I think it didn't look like there was anything in that.
Was that Ty? I think it was.
I think it was Ty, because Ty actually ended up going off track a little bit further up the road here. Forget the replay happening off this as well. So it was down at the hairpin, just trying to get it slowed up. Wasn't able to. Pulls it up. I reckon he was actually carrying some damage off it.
Yeah, I reckon.
And then he's towed. I thought he may have actually gone found the door to the Shadow Realm, which was why he towed, but he hadn't. He just, in fact, just towed back to pits. But it is Hasler and Grotch out of P1 and 2. Frog Leap running away from Jakey Edwards here out of P3. Simpson in P4, Gowans in P5. Hughes is dropping down the order. I reckon he's copped a slowdown because...
he's hit the wall. That could be a possibility.
I think he has actually. It says he's had a crash, so we're going to have to keep an eye on all of these incidents happening. If they want to show it to me, of course, as well. Here we go. This is what's
Usually
happened.
was leading as well, so
was.
keep that in mind. What's happening? Greg's hit him and then goes straight through. Oh my God.
They've actually had it coming together. Well, Christmas has come early for Ben Faulkner and for Vermillion because he has just been gifted the lead of this race on the first lap from CXR. You boys need to send them a Christmas card this year because they've just absolutely niced you off the back of that one. No fault of their own, really. Like, it was just a mistake done by Adam. Greg had nowhere to go, really. He tried to avoid, wasn't able to do it. Now these boys are going to have to come in the pits into this lap and get those cars fixed, and that's pretty much going to take them out of contention.
Yeah, that's them done. I was going to say they can't hold these cars for 20 minutes to get the pit stop done, but yeah, that's Ben in the lead, and I don't think anyone's going to catch him now. He's out of the slipstream, and he'll be flying. So riding aboard with Callan Hodgson, oh God, butchered that hard. But
mate,
riding on
Cowie a run for his money with those last pronunciations.
I know. And don't even judge me to Cowie. I feel like that's a low blow, that one, Hamish. I really do.
To who? To Cowie or to you?
Me. I feel offended.
Poor Cowie. Poor Cowie.
Hey, we're gonna throw it back in his end. But no, running about with Callan here, crisscross. Maybe I need a water. Let me have a sip of water. But Callan riding on board, but he's the only crisscross car without damage. So Callan doing very well.
Yeah, he's managed to keep this nice and tidy at this current stage in the pedal box now of that CXR Porsche. As you can see, the wheel work. It's one of my proudest camera angles that I've made. I'm not gonna lie. I did it in the supercar, and I'm like, I'm doing it in the GTs as well. It looks absolutely phenomenal.
That looks better in a GT than a V8.
I think it's just because of the left-hand drive, to be honest with you. I reckon it just looks nicer on the left-hand drive car than the right-hand drive.
Oh, he spun it around.
Nah, he's just going around a corner.
Oh. I saw the background of the trees just like go around really quickly. He's turning right. I'm like, oh, he's went around. But you know what? Another good angle I'd recommend for you is get an angle from the boot and looking out from to the back wing and see the back the front of the car.
I have that on the 8.6s. I don't have that on the GT cars. The best I can give you is the gearbox cam, which is off the roof. Yeah. But you know what? We'll run through the Porsche cameras. I think there's only one car out there without custom cameras, and I think it might be the Fez. So just to quickly run through our cameras that we have here on the GT cars. So obviously our gearbox cam, which is on the roof. Right forward, which is kind of like a roll. It's off the roll cage. You know, if they had a GoPro on there. That's my thought process. Right forward is down in the pedal box. The gyro is the classic dashboard cam. I think one of the best ones you can have when there's close battling. Left rear is just outside the driver's window, so we get a good little insight into the window there. And we get to hear some awesome car sounds as well off the back of it. Left forward suspension is our roof cam, our little hamburger cam. Obviously gearbox was there, and there's the roll bar there. And then our nice little interview camera, which is an adjusted nose camera that goes inside the car and onto the dash looking at the driver. And we can kind of see out the rear wing, actually, out the rear window, so we're half there.
Correction there too. Did you see that? He had a huge correction there, just trying to save the car. So yeah, Callan holding on and doing well. So I was going to say, Callan's he's a guy that's just jumped into every car recently, hasn't he? Done 86s, GT3s. I've seen him in a V8. He's done a lot. He's very diverse when it comes to those cars. Replay. Let's have a look here.
Matt Feely in the Audi. He's had another incident here. Oh, out in the forest.
Saves it?
Oh.
No.
Very lucky, though, not to bin that anymore.
That's a steel barrier, too. So yeah. That would have hurt the car massively. Riding on board with Hassler, though.
Sheepy in the chat, just quickly. Good day, boys. Hope all is well. Good luck to everyone out there tonight. They're saying, how many laps do these lads get for tonight's race? So we kind of surmise that it's probably going to be 5 or 6 laps, maybe 7 for the GTPs. I don't know if we're actually going to get a lap happen, like where the GTPs actually lap the GTD leader. I think this might be the one occasion where they actually won't. Because they're doing, what was it, like 7 7:19s were the fastest GTP times across qualifying. They've done a 7:23 on the first lap. So we'll do the maths just quickly. Just to see what it's going to be here.
Ben Faulkner put in the fastest lap down as well. 7 seconds, almost pulling it to 8. So he's almost on a Sunday drive at this point. And he's actually 10 seconds faster than... I don't recognise... Oh, that's Mick in P2, then Dodds in P3. So Dodds is having a good run. He's actually got Dyson right on the back of him, which is a scary competitor to have right behind you. So this is probably the closest battle on track at the moment. And indeed it is. So... I'd say Dodds would have a lot of straight line speed in this car. I wouldn't say he's got a lot in the corners. But let's just see him gap him on this little straight here. And look at that. Already picking up the drive. And look at that Merc go. So the two German cars. And they're very different. I love a good Merc. I think it's actually my favourite GT3 car as well, Hamish.
I'm kind of hesitant to change the gearbox cam on the Merc. Just because of that engine noise that you get off that gearbox cam. Like... It's incredible. I'm hesitant to change it.
What a great sounding car, though. They've put a 6.2 litre V8 in it. Like, and then you've got all these other cars with turbos. Mercedes have just went, no, we don't need that. Why do we need any of that? So, yeah, they're doing really well there. Oh, Dodds just on that curb there. It looked like the car was actually rotating on that curb. So, it's probably got a really pitchy car here. Dyson, having a look. Thought he would have went for the bomb there. Nice and close on the back of that bumper. Does he go for the dive there? No, he sets it up, though. He actually might get it onto the Nordschleifer.
Yeah, I reckon he wants to try and get this done before the Nordschleifer portion of the circuit, because you don't want to be sitting behind someone who... You could be quicker than across a period of the lap and get held up, obviously. So you'll want to try and maximize the run. And it's so hard to be behind someone across the whole lap, like the whole 28 Ks. Like you're forever having to adjust how you're actually attempting the lap and how you're kind of approaching all of the corners. And it almost reshuffles, Connor, your entire perspective of the lap. In a way,
for sure.
You know, like it completely changes your driving style because you're always having to adjust based on the car ahead of you. Where if you're the leading car, you don't like. It's not really much defending that you need to do around here because it's already hard enough to get a pass done. But you know,
I mean, it's like any racetrack. You look at I'll give you an example. Sebring Logitech for me on Wednesday night. I was sitting behind Teo Sobrano and. You're always adjusting how to see around the car or change the car. I'm just going to be quiet listening to this thing.
Oh, that was pure.
What a sound.
Phenomenal.
You know, you're always adjusting the car. Maybe a little bit of brake bias change on the Porsche and the Merc. You just see Dyson there using all the road there. That was magnificent. But you're always adjusting the car, like you said. You're never going, oh, I'll follow his line. Look at that. Dyson having a look. I reckon he might go for a bomb here. Let's have a look. Dodds on the brakes there. Oh,
Harry's covering that well. Dyson's smart. Like, he's a smart driver. He will wait for this to come about and to kind of materialize. Like, he's not gonna. He's not a driver that kind of creates the move. If the doors open, if the doors open a crack, then he'll Spartan kick it in. Like, he'll go for it. But he's not gonna kick a closed door. You know what I mean? Like, he's very calculated in that way that he will take advantage of anything that you feed him. Like, he's almost like a bin chicken when they find a box of chips in the bin. Like,
that's to pause. that is like if I was described as a bin chicken.
Mate, I love it. I wish I was described as a bin chicken. It's like, that is the dream right there.
I was going to say, Dyson has a magnificent beard side. So does this bin chicken have like a really big beard with sunnies on? Or what? How would you describe Dyson as a bin?
That is a shirt that DPR must make now. Is the Dyson bin chicken shirt.
I like that.
But he shaved the beard off.
What?
Yeah. He told me. He revealed it a couple of weeks ago that he actually shaved the beard off. I believe it might have been Long Beach that he revealed it to us. So he is currently beardless. Clifton though, big off track through there. That's now going to cost him.
Clifton's probably going to get a move done here. Does he have a look? No, backs out of it. Oh, does he go under? Oh,
nah.
Clifton could have went for that. I reckon if he was if he really wanted that, I reckon he could have had a crack, but he's backed out of it, being smart. But Dodds is P2 now. So this is probably the best result Dodds has had all season from where he's sitting, because you got to think we've had Lewis, we've had Ben, we've had Dyson, we've had Ryan Jones, we've had Christopher Island, myself in it. Like, there's been some pretty big competitors, you know. So I think Dodds, where he is right now, I think he'd be pretty happy. Ben pulling out 12 seconds though. If there's no safety car, Ben's going to pull that even further out. So Clifton backing off massively, and Dodds just running away with this. Look at this Merc, just how much it pulls on this straight here. It reminds me of a lot of Lewis when he was in the Merc at Le Mans, and when Ben couldn't even touch him, just because how fast that thing was. So he's going to run away from Dyson for now. Let's go and check out on our GDP, shall we?
So Hasler leads the way as they come on to their third lap of the race. 7 minutes 20 is the fastest time so far. It was a 20 dead. Grotch was not able to match it, but they are still on track pretty close by. Edwards a little bit further back at the moment. He's about 7 seconds off the back end of Grotch's car. And then Adam Simpson comes into turn 1 now. Our only other surviving GTP out on track at this stage is Doug, the Grandpa Gowans, who's just having a lovely Sunday drive in that Acura at the moment. But he'll just be trying to stay in this thing because anything could happen.
Why is everyone calling him Grandpa?
He's old.
Yeah, but you're old.
No, but like, he is old. Like, he's old enough to be in vets.
Oh.
By a fair while. Which is nothing against him. But he is like a literal grandpa.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So me commentating him, I could be... Oh, God, I'm not thinking about that.
He could literally be your grandfather.
No, that's not a good vision. All right, back down to Dyson. Let's go, because he's the closest battle.
It is giving us a... Matty Trout saying, lol, he is the oldest in our velocity team. So, yeah, that's probably why he's also the grandpa. Sean saying that's not that old. Well, Matty, how old is Doug Gowans? Because from he sounds about retirement age, just based on the fact that he took such a long trip recently and didn't really have any other commitments to do it. So possibly. He, you know what? He is in the realm of like 40 to maybe 60. I would argue. Maybe a little bit older.
I think you're being very generous there, to be honest.
I don't want to sound too rude to the grandpa. We must respect our elders, as people say.
Correct.
That's a question for the age. No one really knows. Hey, it's a question that may never be answered, to be honest with you.
It's like it's probably in Egypt on the hieroglyphics, you know.
Oh yeah, the Pharaoh Doug Gowans.
Yeah. He's been mummified and come back as Dougie Gowans.
Yep, that's it. He is the reincarnation of Tutankhamun. Sean Benici's chat saying, I'm in my 40s, so I'm closer to him than you folks. Oh, definitely. I'm not doubting that. But I mean, comparatively for me and Connor, like he is old enough probably to be our grandfather. I would say.
I don't want to think about that. That's a bad thought. It's not a great one.
We know he's old because Shivi said he always starts with a back in my day, so you know he's old. So that's just the confirmation right there. But Daiso and Dodsey having a nice little tight battle at the moment. There is another one on track at the moment, though. It's Barber trying to chase down Mark Cochran for Apex Esports League. So Barb's just trying to make the comeback at this point as well. So we'll have to wait and see here how many more positions he can make up and if he can keep this any cleaner. His teammate Adam Hughes currently 38 seconds off the back of his other teammate Callan Hodgson, but they have had those cars fixed in the pits, so it's good to see.
I reckon Hughes is going to get off this and go and play COD and yell at other people later, because I'd say he's pretty angry at that. Another thing. Hughesy wanted me to do something on stream. And the one word he wanted me to say is up the wires. So,
was he in the chat the other week, like last week?
Probably.
Because there was someone in the chat saying up the wires in the chat last week, and I'm going to be honest, I banned them. Like, I actually banned them because I thought it was someone just trying to have a joke, and it was just off topic. I'm like, oh, well, goodbye. Just stop trying to get us.
Who was it?
I don't even know. I didn't even recognize the name. It looked like a troller. like someone who's just trying to have a laugh. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't really have time for you at the moment, so you can just get banned from chat.
But that was the one thing you wanted me to say. But anyway, there you go, Husey. You gotta watch that later. And
the only thing I think of at the moment with Up the Wires is seeing the sports bet ad for the NRL hotel.
Oh yeah,
it's a good ad. To be fair, it's a good ad.
I see. Here we go. Controversial. I don't actually watch NRL or AFL.
I don't watch NRL, but I do watch AFL.
Okay.
But that's just
So we're in the
I'm
middle.
Victorian, so.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, see, I'm in WA, so it makes sense, right?
Well, you've got a choice of the Eagles, which are absolutely atrocious at the moment, and the Dockers, who've never won anything. So,
yeah.
No one can really blame you. But look at how close Daiso's getting onto the back of Dodsey here as he come up onto the Nordschleife. Like, he is just going camping underneath that rear wing, just parking a tent in the shape of a porker, just trying to stay with him here across this lap. Dodsey had actually gained quite a respectable gap. It was about a second and a bit with Clifton going off ahead of them. But Daiso's really pulled him in at this point. They're starting to have a nice little tasty battle here as we're coming up to the halfway point of our race, and we're only on lap 3. And the GTPs are not even, they're just about to come up towards the back straight in a couple of sectors time.
Yeah, Hassel doing a good job, and same as Grotch. I was going to say, those guys just don't look like they're going to get touched all race. Like, really, they're just going to pull away and that'll be it. But I think who owns Frog Leap would be very happy with the result from so far. Jake Edwards, replay. He didn't touch the wall.
So, yeah, but doing that's not going to help his case of trying to chase down those Froggies. They are just hopping out in the lead at the moment, as is their teammate Harry Dodds. He's trying to battle Andrew Dyson for P2 on the road. Ben Faulkner's 18 seconds down the road. He is just making a mistake away
here we go.
from losing this, but he just has to keep it clean. We can see here Dyson wants this as they come down through the forest. Again, though, I don't know if he's quite close enough to really have the lunge, but this is such a fast section of track that you feel like you are just on the limit the whole way.
Yeah, the car always feels like it's moving. It doesn't feel settled at all. Like, from my experience with the setups I get from Vermilion, they are very sketchy 99% of the time. But I make most of the V8 setups. So I don't make the GT3 setups. But if it's similar to my case in a GT3, I reckon Doddsy would be hanging on. You can see the wobble there, just running wide. He'd be running a low wing setup in that Merc, I reckon. I don't think it would be a heavy.
It's looking pretty straight, to be fair. Like, that's looking pretty flat. That might be a 2-wing, maybe even a 1. Like, he is running.
Well, you remember
he's running what he ran in the rain and just struggled.
No, that was me in the rain.
You. That's right. Sorry, Connor. I'm taking away your.
That was my glory, mate.
Okay, so yes, so this is why your setup skills are so good, because you put 1 wing on a car in the rain.
Yeah. Hey, we don't talk about that.
Bleeders come in, though, both Grotch and Hasler, so we would expect Simpson and Edwards to make... No, Simpson's actually staying out for another lap.
Wow.
Very interesting call from the fishy driver.
Oh. Did he just hit the brakes? I think he just realised.
He may have. He may have, but there's not really much he can do now. He's going to have to go 28 Ks, and I don't think he's actually going to make it, to be honest with you.
28 Ks, you put 8 minutes on that. That's 30 minutes. Whoa.
That'd be a bit of a stretch. Could be done. We'll have to wait and see. Dougie Gowans, he's coming down that back straight now. He's about to come past the public pit lane, which will be on his right-hand side, on our left-hand side of screen. So he's just...
Look at that thing bouncing.
I know. It is. It looks so... Like, it has got so much ground effect on it, but it looks so unsettled down that straight just from the bumps, doesn't it? Like, it is absolutely crazy how quick that thing goes.
You've seen that lap of the Porsche Evo?
Yeah.
LMP1? Oh, what a lap that was.
Phenomenal. Absolutely. I reckon there should be a separate league of motorsport which is just unrestricted. Like, you get that Merc out there, that Group of M built. You get the Porsche. Like, you just have unrestricted cars and just let them go wild.
How was that AMG though, unrestricted? What a sound.
It was brilliant.
I think you know how the Mercs, like, with the RPMs, it's very low. Like, you think, oh, really? Yeah, come on, stretch it out a little bit more. And then they take off that restrictor, and it's just bouncing off the rev limiter, and you just think, yeah, that's better. Bring that to iRacing and the IMSA and the WEC for that Merc, because it was just an unreal car. But you had this big wing on the back that had DRS and the ground effect with it as well. It was insane.
You see, this battle is far from over at this stage, Connor. I mean, it's our closest battle on track at the moment. We can't really call the Hasler and Grotch battle a battle because they're teammates and they're likely just going to work together at this point.
Yeah, and we can't talk about Ben because we've talked about him for what? How many rounds has it been? 6, 7?
He's won about 4 rounds in a row, so we've probably been talking about him for 5 rounds. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so he can be fine. We'll talk to him in an interview, but yeah, I think for right now, I mean, I think at this point, I think Dodds and Dice have kind of went, right, we're not going to catch Ben unless we get a safety car. So let's just battle it out a little bit. And, you know, Dyson's probably going to save a heap of fuel and try and get Dodds in a pit stop at this point.
Let's just have a nice battle. You know, just have fun on track. Callan Hodgson and Mick Clifton, though, they're actually starting to get close to each other. In fact, Clifton is only 4 seconds back of that battle between Dyson and Dodds. So, you know, maybe if they keep battling it out, Clifton finds some pace, he could get in on it. Hodgson's there too. So, you know, is it maybe not so questionable to say that we may get a little 4-way dance by the end of this race if those guys keep battling the way they are and Doddsy keeps on holding up Dyso?
I don't know. I think... See, that Merc's fast, right? So every time they get on a straight, they're pulling instantly, without a doubt. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think...
The Fez is fast too, though. Like, the Fez is good in the straight line as well. Where, again, the Porsches are good in the corners. So it's almost like Hodgson's catching Clifton across the forest section. And then Mick and Dodds are getting the advantage going down through the GP circuit and then obviously down the straight. Faulkner's in, though, just past the halfway point of this race, or just coming up on the halfway point of this race. So we would expect that the rest of the top 5 would join him in the pits to keep this going. So
I'd say Ben's not even. I think he'd just be full noise as well. So there's Dyson and Dodge. Let's see. I reckon Dodge is going to get jumped from Dyson here. Dyson's in. Let's see him pull in nice and close on that back bumper. That's very like Bathurst 1000-esque of how close they are. Here's the marks. Let's see Dyson. Kind of straight. Could be a bit more straighter on the marks, but Dodds in as well, like we talked. Mix in.
Well, what Dyson's done is he's lined up his car so he's got a straighter run onto the fast lane.
True.
So, not that it matters in iRacing. He has actually jumped him, and he's jumped him by quite a fair bit as well.
Oh.
Like, that is a mega gain in a pit stop. It might only be about a second, but it's a big, big gain for him. Hughesy goes up to P2, but he will need a pit again. Oh, nearly cuts the nose off. Oh, that was nearly a snout on rear action there from the Porker. But Doddsy drops down to P4. He lost 3 seconds in that pit stop. Like, that is... It's egregious to lose that much time in a stop, and he'll be absolutely kicking himself. He'll just be hoping he can catch up to Dyso now, seeing as Dyso's in behind Hughes here.
I think it's hard because Dodds is... I think Dyson's a lot more of a veteran of sim racing. I think he knows what to do when he's behind a Dodds or someone like that. Dodds would have been on the limit. There's no doubt about it, but Dyson would have just been sitting there going, all right, left. Like, you know, we've seen him being on the back of Faulkner so many times where Faulkner's, you know, him and Dyson have been battling. So he's got the same pace as Ben. You know, I'm sure both of them would go, no, I'm faster or I'm faster here, you know, blah, blah, blah. But their pace is very similar. So I think, you know, Dyson would definitely go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And, you know, so Dyson's jumped him. And look at this, Callan's actually jumped Mick here, and Greg Barber's on the back now too. So this brings Hughesy and Greg into it for a couple of laps. They'd have a little bit of fuel because they did do that pit stop. So that's quite interesting. And Mick would, I think he wouldn't be stressing too much, obviously having Greg on his rear bumper here, but there's still a little bit of pressure there.
There is indeed. So Adam Simpson, though, is still going at the lead of this race. So maybe he knew he could get an extra lap. This is still that extra lap that he's done. Right, so he's still on his extra lap. So it's whether he can make it down the straight and actually get into the pits. Now, is he going to gain enough across this lap on them to take the lead of the race? I doubt it, to be honest with you. But it may give him an advantage over the likes of Edwards, who is provisional P3 in behind Gowans at the moment. Or he was actually provisional P4. So it might actually gain him some time on Edwards, in fact.
Well, he's going to put left fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what happens here. So I think with how long do you reckon would be a pit stop?
Well, if I look here on the telemetry, so it was a 53-second travel time for Grotch. 24.87 was the pit stop time. So they're not really. I mean, Edwards is a minute 45 back off of Simpson as he comes into the lane. There's Edwards. He's not even at the back straight yet. In fact, he's gone off track again, so he's just struggling out there. Dougie Gowans, we know, will need to have another pit stop. Hasler and Grotch, well, they're going to take the lead, aren't they? They're already coming down the straight, and they're about to head past Simpson here. So now it's just a straight run home for them over the last 15 minutes of proceedings. But the question is, does Simpson come out ahead of Edwards off this stop? I'd say he does. Like, he's got a fair whack of a lead for P4 at this moment in time, or P3 really on the road.
Well, we'll keep looking at this time on the top left because it would say coming out of pits, or exit pit. So, yep, there it is, pit exit. So
in fact, he's actually jumped. He's stayed ahead of Gowans as well, who needs another stop. So he could be good here for P3. Like, he's got a fair lead over him. He's got, what is it, a minute lead over Simpson. Edwards has ran out of fuel. Oh no, he's had an incident. He's busted the car. So that's what's happened. I thought he maybe ran out of fuel, but no, he's just hurt the car. So this was that initial little off track that we saw where he ran it wide. And he's had a couple of off tracks previously. Actually, that's a different one. And that's what's caused the incident. Hey, that's a good souvenir for a simulated fan going off the side of the track there.
I feel like he's just done that on purpose because he's like, the race is done.
I don't know.
Because it looked like he didn't even hit the brakes there. But I could be wrong. But anyway, here's a replay of dodge.
That's going to hurt him as well because it's now going to allow Hodgkinson past him. That's crabbing. So could that be a tow and a safety car? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what race control say about it. Race control over the radio, though, we don't have them in our ear, so we cannot confirm yet until they give us the message. Dodsey has been allowed to tow, so I reckon it's just become a local yellow. Hodgkinson, though, has also lost it. So they are dropping like flies in the last 15 minutes of this race. That now promotes Greg Barber up to P3, but he does need another pit stop, which means Mick Clifton will take back third position on the road of the GTDs. And again, Connor, it just comes down to the consistency factor, staying consistent, minimizing those mistakes, and it can come as a benefit for you throughout this race.
Talking about that as well, what happened to Josh in the 043?
043 or 0. He didn't start the race.
Oh.
Yep.
Maybe dinner.
Maybe dinner.
Mick's went wide.
No, Mick.
That's going to suffer him.
It will.
Who else is in this fight? So you got Callan,
who's right there, who needs to pit. Greg, who'll need to pit just based on fuel. Callan needs to pit based on damage, which...
What about Husey? I think Husey... hang on.
If he has enough gap, yes, he needs to pit for fuel. We saw the GTP go an extra lap. Now, whether the Porsche can is another question.
Remember he did that early pit stop. So how much fuel did he... So hang on.
It was
You
only
can't-
an 8-second stop, so it would have been basically a lap's worth of fuel. You could argue he put in the car, so I don't think it'd be
he's
enough.
probably put. I reckon he's probably put half a lap of fuel, maybe. But that's being generous. But half a lap of fuel, maybe.
Whatever
So
it is, I don't
maybe
think it's going to be
couple
enough to
of-
get home. Like I think
No,
he's
there'd be
going to need
no
another
way.
one.
Yeah.
So what it means is, if we look at it here, so Barber needs to pit for fuel. Clifton is out on track, maybe needs to pit to fix some damage. Hodgkinson definitely needs to pit. And then Cochrane, well, he's had an incident as well, and he'll have to fix that car. Feely has just been struggling all day. So Hughesy, maybe through the fact of sheer luck, could actually get this thing up into P3 after the pit stop.
I reckon you could be right. How far's? Oh, I'm just trying to figure out.
There'll be 10 minutes left. In just
There
a
won't be
second
much
here.
fuel.
There will be, I think, a minute over 1 lap left for the GTDs, which means it's going to be 2 laps left for them.
Yeah.
Right? So
Fusey can pull out another lap of fuel. Oh, hang on. Is Dyson getting the... Oh, he's just getting the toe. If Fusey can pull out another lap and only just need 1 lap of fuel, he could be okay.
he
So
might be.
Dyson just on the back of him now, giving it a good old sniff on the back of the Hughesy's bumper here. So let's see if Dyson will go for the move here. He doesn't really need to because we've seen Ben pull out almost...
I reckon he's going to let him have it.
No, I don't think he
Surely.
will.
Oh.
Hughesy
So
side by side.
I reckon, right, because Hughesy is battling this hard, he reckons he can get home. Because why would you battle this hard if you were... Oh, no, he's come in.
Nah.
He's come in. So that answers our question on whether he needs to pit for fuel.
Right, now we
Barber's
stay
going to be
on
in the same road as him. So
Okay, where's Mick? Let's stay on Mick.
there he is there. He is just coming into the final couple of corners, so he's going to jump him. But it's whether that car is healthy enough to make another 2 laps without a mistake. That is the question, because if it isn't...
It doesn't take long to fill up that GD3 though. Is Hughesy out of the box?
No, he's still in the box.
Oh.
He's now out,
there we
so
go.
he's going to come out in behind Hodgkinson. So Hodgkinson stayed out, but he has damage. So you'd say Adam Hughes, with a fresh car, fresh rubber, fresh fuel, he will have the pace to catch Hodgkinson eventually. Will Callum let him past him, being their teammates? Quite possibly. But it's whether he can make up that 21 seconds over Mick Clifton. Hughes' fastest lap of the race is an 8:39. Clifton's is a 9:25. That last lap was the only lap that Mick Clifton has not gotten an off track to count as a fastest lap to this point.
Oh, wow.
So it's within the realm that he could catch him, especially through the forest. But we'll have to wait and see. So Grotch and Hasler, these guys are going to come down to the line. They are going to have 1 lap left when they cross the line here, because they're going to cross it with less than 7 minutes and 21 seconds to go. So this should be white flag lap for them. It may even be white flag lap for the GTDs as well.
Yeah, they've just started their lap, so could be. I'm not going to take it off the cards for sure.
No, it is such a tough thing to determine. So they're going to have 7 minutes and 10 seconds left to go on the running. Surely this is white flag now. Like it's less than a lap length.
No, it'd be more. Hang on. No. Oh.
Well, 38 plus 7 is 45, and they came across the line at 37.50.
Yeah. I was just thinking in my head. Yeah, okay. Maybe the telemetry's probably not going to give us a white flag.
It might not. It might be a race control gives us the white flag, quite possibly. Or we just have to wait to the end of the lap and get the checkered. Like that might just be it.
Sure.
Being that way, because I think normally it only gives you the white if you're within like 2 minutes of the end of the race. But being that they're 7 minutes away, it may not recognize that they're actually a lap away from the checkered. So I have to wait and see. Dougie Gowns is back in the lane though, so this is now going to take him out of contention for that podium. So Adam Simpson's got that pretty much wrapped up in a nice little bow at this point. Just has to cruise it on home out through the forest. Just a nice little, you know, country road type of drive for him here at the end of our little Friday night session.
I was going to say, I was going to start singing there, but I'm not going to do that on stream. That everyone's ears would have popped.
Are you going to start singing The Sound of Music for us?
No, I was thinking like Country Road.
Oh,
Take me
okay.
home.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ben Faulkner bringing it home. He's what a lead, 18 seconds. I think he's actually backed off the pace a little bit to not get this thing in the wall, because he was about 20 to 19 seconds. I reckon he's backed off a little bit just to not hit a wall, which is honestly fair enough. So yeah, I reckon we're on white flag. I think you're right, because where's Ben? Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, Ben's just come through what is the 4th sector of the track, maybe the 5th sector. So he's literally coming up to the top of the track map at the moment. So he'll have one more lap for sure, because the leader of the GTPs is behind him, and they're not going to gain enough time across the lap to catch him and lap him. So I think he will have one more lap. I think Dyson. So these GTDs, they're going to be able to finish another lap here. So they're actually going to get to 5 laps, where the GTPs are going to do 6. So in fact, they will do the GTPs will do an extra lap, but it will they just won't pass the leaders at this point. Although, in saying that, they are coming up onto the back of Greg Barber. So he may get passed by the end of this lap by Brendan Gloch. So he may not need to do an extra lap, which, if it were me, I'd probably just let him go past and not have to do another lap around here.
Yeah,
like at this point in the race, just get an early finish in. Like, you know, it's going to take away your opportunity to get P5, because P5 will do the extra lap. But you really want to go another 28 Ks after the 45 minutes is up? I would not think you would, to be honest with you. So, yeah, and again, that's one of those things, isn't it, Connor? Where if you're racing, right, and you're not anywhere near any of your competitors, but you're on the brink of getting lapped, and you're on the last lap, just let the leader go, and then you don't have to do an extra lap. You know, you get to come in, get to go crack open a beer or a premix or whatever you drink a lap earlier than everyone else. I think that's...
For me, it's water, so yep.
Oh, well,
cheers.
Yeah, water. You know, whether you drink, you know, a soda or soft drink, or whether you are an alcohol connoisseur, get to the lap earlier.
Here's a debate. We got 15 people watching. I want everyone to type something in while you're watching. Right. In my own opinion, how good is it on a hot summer day and you crack a nice, refreshing, zesty drink of Coca-Cola? That is honestly my favourite. That is peak in my opinion.
No, I'll tell you what. There is a drink that is better. It is not alcoholic. It's a soda as well. Solo is the best drink on a hot summer's day. It is so refreshing on a hot summer's day.
I had a zero sugar Solo. They actually taste like the same.
It was the same with zero sugar Sprite. It tastes almost identical to regular Sprite.
Yeah, it was so weird. Mum bringing home zero sugar, and I was like, oh, it's gonna, it's not gonna be nice, because zero Coke just tastes like, it almost tastes like, it's almost having like an apple, but you got no sweet apple. It's just like this dry apple that just yuck.
So
but
Maddie said
very good.
Love a good Coke, not the sugar-free crap though. I will argue though, Maddie, zero sugar Coke is superior to Diet Coke. Diet Coke can get thrown in a bin and get burnt. Zero sugar Coke at least tastes close enough to regular Coke, although I am more of a Pepsi fan personally than Coke. But
Pepsi's a lighter Coke, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. And I just prefer that, to be honest with you. But I will say, for the cola tier, it goes vanilla Coke, OG Pepsi, OG Coke, Pepsi Max, and then Coke Zero. Like, it swaps and changes. But vanilla Coke is God tier, in my opinion.
What state are you in? I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so okay, that makes sense.
Why vanilla Coke is my favorite.
You guys are all, bubble tea and everything. But anyway, moving on.
Hey. But char time slaps. Although I don't get the bombers, I just get the T. But but Brandon Gotch and Scott Hasler have now passed Greg Barber. So he will now get to finish his race a lap earlier.
This is in P3.
He is in P3. He's passed Hodgkinson, and Mick Clifton is out. And this is what has happened to him. Whilst we're talking about our soda options, this is what's happened to the Fez driver. Oh, he's put it in the wall. And I think that may have done enough to his self-esteem that, he's needed to tow back. The car was wrecked at that point.
Oh, he just needed to drive. Look, he stopped and no one's there. He just had to drive around. So
I think the car was busted at that point.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if we,
I think Ben's doing another lap.
If we just quickly go into the car.
Oh,
I think steering broken. They're slightly maybe.
Oh, it's not too bad.
No, I reckon the rear's been affected. I think that's why. I think he knew when he came off the wall the rear was affected. But yeah, Ben's definitely having to do another lap. He was not caught by the leaders. Dyso's doing another lap. Hughesy's going to have to do another lap. And so will Hodgkinson. But here comes the leader of the GTPs, Brandon Grotch. He will take out victory here tonight at the Nurburgring for the GTPs. Here for Frog Leap Juice Racing, Scott Hasler will come across the line. He actually lost a fair bit of time on Grotch there in the last portion of the lap. But he'll come home P2 here tonight. Adam Simpson, his car is broken. He's had an incident, so he's just going to try and crawl this thing back. Maybe this is...
hang on.
Gowan's going to catch him?
Yeah, hang on.
Is this going to be a spicy end for P3?
Hang on.
Keep going, Dougie. Surely not. Surely he's not going to catch Simpson by the start-finish line.
If Simpson has a little spin, Doug's got him. But
he has for sure.
Doug just puts his foot down. I reckon he might. Oh, nah. I reckon Adam's cleared.
Quite possibly.
Greg Barber's got the checkered, by the way, as well.
So Greg Barber now gets his checkered flag. But this is going to be interesting to see if he can make this
that
home.
thing is so broken.
It is. And what's going to be the question is the final corner, because it can be quite difficult to get around in that car. Gowan's, I think Simpson's got him here if he can keep it straight. He is going to get possibly the most undeserving P3 we've ever seen in our lives. Okay, not most undeserving, but most unimpressive P3 of all time. He's going to come home with that car damaged. Dougie Gowan's on foot. If he had not pitted on that last lap, he probably would have actually gotten him.
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to come home P4. We'll head back up to Ben, as this is kind of just a bit of a parade lap for him now.
I reckon if we get the podium guys from GDP, we can interview them. Ben's still on a lap, and we can actually interview them.
You know what? I reckon by the time they actually get in here after their burnout, which how are they going to go as well? Adam's actually had to tow back, so he's actually going to have a rear of good for the next race because they have to do the parade lap.
No, I don't think that will be for here. There's no way.
No, I wouldn't think so. Unless they allow them to do the trick where you just cut the track, but and they just clear blacks.
Yeah, I don't think it will. Yeah. Even you could finish the race and just park it straight on the line.
Okay, even. Well, I'll pose you. We'll go back to our little previous conversation here, Connor. Just while Ben's doing his lap, because obviously we're going to have like another 4 minutes of this thing ripping it around here. If you're getting some takeout or whatever, what is your soda of choice for that one? Is it a Coke or is it something else? Like maybe a Fanta? I don't mind a Fanta.
You know what? I've been really on the Monster Energy mangoes recently.
Mango Loco slaps. Or is it the zero sugar mango?
No. It's the full blown. It's a bit of a dirty like drink, isn't it, when you have a Monster? But yeah, I have them for my AMX commentary at 2 o'clock in the morning, because you wake up at about 1 or 12 and you're like, yeah, I need something. You either get a coffee but yeah, Monster, the Monster Mango. If I could have that with a dirty bird, I'm pretty happy.
I mean, I am kind of, I've been sold by the snake oil that is OG Red Bull, especially the big cans of Red Bull, you know, like the real, like, fat cans of Red Bull. Crisp, straight out of the fridge, big 437 mil, I think it is, Red Bull, the big ones. When you wake up, it just hits different. I used to be a massive Mango Loco fan. I still do love a Mango Loco Monster. Also love Pipeline Punch as well. I was on Pipeline Punch before I tried Mango Loco. Loved them equally. I think that Ultra White is the most overrated Monster. It's good, but it's not God tier. Like, it's good, but it's not God tier. Ultra Gold is better.
All right, let's get these two winners in. I reckon we can interview them, and I reckon
Oh, Ben!
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Is this going to be Daiso's time?
No way.
Is he going to get him? I don't think the car's too bad. He did everything right. He did everything right all day.
I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the Vermilion chat. There's about 7 guys in that one chat with Ben. I can imagine they're all laughing at him going, you've led for, you know, almost 40 minutes and you've just spun the car. No way. Hang on. How much is Dyson catching him?
Lewis in the chat, world class, upper, love it, Ben. Daiso's catching him. 23 seconds is the gap. Could he do it?
23. I feel like that's a stretch.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to if Ben makes another mistake. So if that car's damaged, then it causes him to lose it again.
Oh, that's...
Maybe he just wanted to put a spectacle on for us. Like, you know what? I'm going to crash here, but safely. Just to make us wince a little bit. But
hit the right barrier. You got to hit the, you know, the right barrier. But he, I think the car's fine. I think the steering's probably busted, but I hope he doesn't do that in the proper Nurburgring 24-hour. Hopefully,
we'll have to see. We'll get the we'll get the update from you as well. Adam Simpson in the chat saying didn't know if I was gonna get home. Adam, we didn't know if you were gonna get home. Like, we saw your car and we're like, is Dougie gonna get him here? But I think the fact that Doug actually pitted Adam, that's what kind of gave you P3 in the end, because he just wasn't close enough to get you.
Oh,
he's struggling through these corners. He's just trying to get to the straight.
He's actually gapped Dyson.
He has a little bit, because I think he's actually just pushing it now, because he knows he can't afford to lose it. What we'll do is, though, we'll drag in our Frog Leap boys and we'll have a quick chat to them whilst we see the end of this race. What were you going to ask me?
Yeah, drag them in while I'm talking about this, because I'm sure they'll be fine with it. Do you reckon with the amount of rounds he's won, do you reckon Ben's almost wrapped it up in a way?
It'd be pretty hard for him not to. But the same can be said about our next guests, Brandon Groch and Scott Hasler.
Yeah.
We've decided to drag you boys in because we're waiting for the GTDs to finish, so we thought, well, might as well not make you wait. Just a nice little Friday night drive around the Nurburgring for you out there, boys. Nothing really to report on your end for some upsets, other than maybe Dodsey absolutely bottling it. But, you know, GTP, Nurburgring, apparently if you can keep it clean, you can be absolutely dominant. So how'd that feel for you?
Yeah, it was, you go, Brandon.
It was actually really good. Like, I knew he'd be able to be really good here. I wasn't expecting, I'm just going to throw him under the bus, I wasn't expecting Scott to spin in front of me, so that was a nice little surprise, and it was nice to get one up on him.
Yeah, I was wondering why Scott was about 5 seconds back from the end of the race. Was the spin what actually led to that, Scott, or did you just kind of drop some pace off the back of Brandon there in the end?
No, I spun, I think 2 or 3 laps into the race, and it sort of gave the wall a little glance, and that's when we swapped positions. And then towards the end my tyres were just shot. And I was pushing like crazy, trying to make something happen. So then I just lost the pace. But yeah, props to Brandon. Like I tried everything today, and sort of kept making mistakes, and he was just steady the whole time. And our pace was so even. So it's those little mistakes and a big one. Really cost you at the end.
So we've got. Oh, kind of go ahead. Sorry, I was just going to mention upcoming tracks, but I'll give it a wait for a minute.
So, fellas, you've been driving this car for a while. We've seen you in the last 2 seasons have such a dominant performance, and I know I'm the commentator that I just get ringed in, but I've seen you guys' progress over the last 2 seasons. I've obviously been in Vermilion in the series, but you guys have just been so dominant. Like, what's kind of been the drive to kind of get better and just go, really ballistic in this car?
I've always enjoyed this car. It's by far my favourite car to drive in the sim. I'm a little bit dirty because of how it drives in the rain, and Scott and all the other Frogley boys have heard how I feel about the GTPs in the rain. But it's just ever since the BMW came out, it's been the #1 car I've driven every season. So yeah, I just like going fast.
That's fair. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it as well. We both jump in the officials and kind of push each other as well. So it's a great fun car to be in. I'm starting to get into the P2 a bit more now as well with the rain, which as Brendan says, is a little bit of a shame, but the GTP is so tricky. But hopefully things might change a little. We can stick it out with this one, but a bit of a change is good as well.
Scott, how have you parked your car where it is?
We were doing some doughies, and my engine blew, and this is where it's ended up. So,
mate, we've you're next to some trailer park. Can you go and get me some brisket off that barbecue in the back there? But guys, shout out your sponsors and everyone. Go for it, guys.
Yeah, I'll let Brett. Have you got them up, Brendan?
I do have them up, yes.
Yeah, you go for it.
I would like to thank all of our sponsors here at Froglet Juiced Racing, in Juiced Energy, Simries.com, Racecraft Simulations, Sudspeed Gloves, and their pet tool company. Huge shout out to both Juiced and Simrings. I recently bought some new products off them, and I'm having a blast with them.
Sweet. I was going to say, John's a really good guy from Racecraft. I've bought all my gear from him. So shout out to John. Right, boys. We'll see you.
Just quickly, Connor, I want to ask.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you boys could get me some energy drinks?
Me?
No, the Froglet boys.
Oh, yeah. Go on, boys.
Look, we can have a chat to the sponsors and see what we can sort out.
Look, boys, we're so generous on the stream, and you love us, So,
in fact, I'll tell you what. I'll do a taste test on me podcast as well. How about that?
If you want to tip with Juiced Energy, if you watch the owner, Brian, he streams every Sunday night. He does like giveaways and whatnot. It took me about 2 years, but I earned 30,000 Twitch channel points, and that's how I got a free tub from him. So there you go, 2 years.
Yeah, I don't think I'll wait that long. I'll start growing grey hairs, and I'm 19, so that'll annoy everyone.
On a Sunday night, you really think I'm going to be able to do that and earn channel points to how to get a free tub of juiced? Like, come on.
You can just mute the stream. No one needs to hear it.
No, if you're muted, it actually boots you eventually. If
what if I
boot you?
Is it Brian that did you say that streams it?
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say, what if I gave him a couple of V8 lessons? Would he give it to me for free then?
You have to talk to him about that, but possibly.
Okay. Well, I'll try and hustle him for it. But thanks, boys. We'll see you next Friday. But great race, boys.
Yeah.
Thanks, fellas. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, it's a good interview.
Yeah, it was
Love
good.
those boys.
We'll drag in Mr. Simpson just quickly while we're on the GTP front. Mr. Simpson, in possibly what is being told as the most not unimpressive, but unconventional way of getting a P3 in a GTP car. I mean, that race there, you managed to keep it clean for the majority of the running. How did it feel to finally get that thing across the line with Dougie just chasing you down there in the end with that car being less than favourable?
Less than favourable?
I'm trying to be nice. It was cooked. We'll call it that.
I'm the mean one, so I can say hi.
You have been very nice. That car was absolutely smashed. But it's been in P3. That is for sure.
I was saying to Hamish, Adam, you haven't had a great season, but mate, does does that kind of string it up all together and go, well, I've got a P3 at Nurburgring? Does that kind of give you a bit of self-confidence at the end of the day?
Nah, that was woeful.
Well, I mean, we've got Sebring next week. I'm sure Fishy's going to be fielding a car in the 12-hour. Do you reckon that might help give you some confidence, going into next week, possibly with some good practice under your belt, and then also having the 12-hour the same weekend?
None of it happens to rain in the 12-hour with the GTP.
iRacing have said it's highly likely it's going to rain in the 12-hour.
Yeah, well, I may choose to drive a different vehicle because, the GTP in the rain at the moment's undrivable. Really.
I know. You're probably not you're probably one of the main people that could answer this question, besides probably Blake and Whiting, Mr. Delaney, the sexy man he is. Why do you guys not drive GT3 in the big enduros? Because I always see you guys in the hypercar, and I think, come on, boys, change it up.
Don't like looking in the rearview mirror the whole race.
Why don't you race the
Fair
LMP2 then?
That's
You're
a
only
good
going to
car.
look in the rear view for half the race, and it's good in the wet.
If you can get a decent setup with the LMP2 in the wet, it is faster than the GTP.
I can send you a good set over.
More than welcome.
We're just wheeling and dealing at this point.
I know. I've made 2 deals already. Mate, I'm a man of yeah. But anyway.
Well, Adam, 2 rounds to go this season, mate. Sebring next week, Spa the week after. How are you feeling going into those rounds? Obviously, Troy wasn't out there tonight in his Beamer. He's really just throwing it out there with the Beamer, isn't he, week in and week out? And then young Delaney, he went off lap 1 and didn't get back out on track. So how's it feeling for yourself, but also the other Fishy boys involved in the series too?
No, young Ty was a bit unfortunate tonight, but that's racing sometimes, so that happens. And, well, he's just a bit soft sometimes. So there was no surprise not to see him tonight. Or Mr. Whiting, they're a little bit scared of this track. I don't know why.
Yeah, they shouldn't be, because, I'm commentating. I won't be mean. But I was going to say, Whiting had a good go at last round we did. We did Daytona, and, he was on pace.
He got the win.
Yeah.
No,
you know what?
it's not too bad when it's a simple track and not that much to remember, but
I was
when it's a little bit involved. He's getting a bit old and losing a few.
He is, isn't he? He's in vets now, isn't he?
He's in the vets now, to be fair.
Oh, God. So the old bugger's in Logitech and vets now.
Yeah, he done well to get in Logitech.
He done very well. I was going to say Mr. Delaney needs to get out and track more. I keep telling him that, but he doesn't.
He's a busy man.
I know he is. But, mate, we hear it every week, but go on, mate. What's your sponsors?
First off, Fishy Motorsport. Great bunch of fellas. More like a family than a team. West End Motor Group, Infinity Designs, DC Shades, Battery Warehouse, Arley Beach, and Precision Sim Training.
Mate, well done for tonight. We'll see you next week. Tell Delaney to get out on track. Tell Whiting I love him. And same with Angus. So,
wish Blake a happy birthday for us as well, Adam, will you?
Is it tomorrow or the next day or probably the day after?
Mate, just any day will be fine. I'm sure he'll feel special nonetheless.
Will do, boys. Thanks very much.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, go on, mate.
All right, we'll drag in Mr. Hughes. Well,
mate,
not the start that you would have wanted, would he, Connor? Did Mr. Hughes?
I was going to say, let me fire off a question. Hughesy, what are you doing out there?
Showing that after 2.5 months away of not having a set of pedals, I am in fact still confirmed washed.
Well, we've answered that one already, but yeah, go ahead, Amish. That was the only question I had for Mr. Hughes.
Washed. Do we have to buy you a hose now, Adam, or have you got a towel on board? But you put it up P2, led the race for about half a lap, and then cooked it right in front of Greg. And unfortunately, you guys turned into a couple of pies from Palmerston Bakery out there.
I wouldn't even say half a lap. But to be fair, you only lasted like 2 corners essentially, and yeah, absolutely screwed the pooch for him and I. And yeah, I did say sorry to him because the car turned right, and then I thought I'd saved it, and then it just spearheaded left, and then he had nowhere to go, so that was completely my fault. So This is me publicly apologising to him for my cock up.
I was going to say it would have been a bunch of laughs with all you guys in the VM chat tonight. I saw all you fellas in there, so it would have been a bunch of laughs with all of you hitting walls.
Well, Benny and I were going to have a good race until I absolutely stuffed it. So, it sort of just went backwards from there and just couldn't do much. I thought Dyson was going to run out of fuel, but it turns out he was just sort of slowing down to save himself, like losing P2. So it was just a lost cause for me. So I'm happy with P3, even though probably Barb should have had it. But yeah.
Yeah, Barb's had a good race. I called him Matt Campbell, so that may be, if he watches it back, he'll be impressed by that.
I reckon you commentator cursed him by calling him Matt Campbell.
I reckon I did.
You
I don't think
you subconsciously put the pressure on him, and he dropped it. You know, he had the football. All he had to do was run with it, and he broke his ankle in the process.
He more than broke his ankle. He broke everything in his body. But Hughesy, mate, love you always in the box and in general, mate. Who's your sponsors?
Just obviously thanks to everyone at obviously CXR for I suppose just being CXR, I guess, and just having a laugh and just having a bit of fun. Obviously Barb's have been with teammate, and again, sorry for absolutely screwing him over with the little incident. Also to thank Shunt Scenery, Pumps and Bakery, DSM Painting Contractors, Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Doom Designs, Poolmaster Bayside, and also a shout out to Benny for giving me a chop out with his VX coaching for his ANZ series. So thank you very much, Benny.
Oh,
and obviously you guys as well for tonight, because I know the numbers was pretty average. So thanks to you guys and to RC as well.
Yeah, well, I got called in last minute, which I always love from Hamish. We have a good yarn. You've got to thank Brad Newman as well, mate.
Oh, yeah, a huge shout out to Brad Newman. If he needs me to carry him again tomorrow night, just hit me up, bro. Happy to help.
Adam, are you going to take over my sore back by carrying people, or what?
Oh, I've come back,
I'm a
bro.
bit overtaking Nurofen every day at this point. Like, take it off me, please.
Just two and a half months off iRacing because of lost the pedals and got new ones. Now I'm just carrying everyone, including Brad Newman. So yeah, he needs to hit me up for some teaching.
Yeah, I was going to say you should get in contact with Brad. But yeah, we'll see you on Saturday, mate. I'm not commentating. I think Bendy needs to get me in the commentary box, but he's got Human in there. But mate, I'll see you around. I'm sure we'll talk a bit of crap in Discord as usual, mate. But we'll see you around.
Course. No worries, mate. Thank you very much.
Enjoy COD.
You too. Cheers. See you there.
Got him off guard with that one. We'll drag in Dyso. Mr. Dyson, a man who needs to change his Discord image because he no longer has a beard. And I must say, it broke Connor's heart when I told him that you.
I'm heartbroken. I'm not happy.
I might make a comeback one day, but it takes a lot of time and dedication, and you gotta get through the ugly phase, which is the worst part, and you got to face customers. It's not real easy. So
yeah, that seems like
it's not ideal. But
I'm just stuck at the ugly phase, no matter what level the beard's at. Like it's a constant at this point.
I was gonna say, Dice, what do you have, like the Giga Chad chin under it, or is it what's kind of going under there, mate?
Don't know. I mean, if I had to judge myself, I'd say it's pretty normal. There's nothing really. I mean, it doesn't look like I don't have a chin. It doesn't look like I have a mega chin. It's pretty stock standard, I suppose.
Stock standard chin. Mate, you had a good race here tonight. You had a good battle with Dodsy. We saw you save a bunch of fuel. How much fuel did you actually save in the end there?
I don't really know. That wasn't really the goal of it. I just wanted to cruise around, have a bit of fun, and hopefully get on TV. But that was good. I actually enjoyed following around. Dodsy for a while there. There was someone else too who was in front for a bit. He had a little bit of a moment. He kind of followed us down. Yeah, that's right. It was Mick. Yeah, so yeah, followed around Harry for a while, and that was fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, mate, Sebring, obviously the 12-hour next weekend, as well as our races next Friday night. Are you boys planning on obviously competing in the 12-hour? And if you are, do you think this is really going to heat up our battles we could see Friday with everyone getting ready for the 12-hour and kind of using it as a little bit of a pre-stint for their race, sort of as a practice run, I guess you could say?
Yeah, I think so. hopefully we get a few guys in and they can. I mean, certainly, hopefully Jimmy gets his computer sorted and Chris and a couple other guys can jump in, and I'm sure they all want to do some laps. So that'd be good to get a few more guys in, and obviously being Sebring with, like you said, the 12-hour coming up, a few other folks from other teams will come in and pump up the numbers again. So that should be good, something to look forward to.
Very good, mate. Well, let us know those sponsors from DPR. Anyone else should get a shout out to as well. But I reckon, are you trying to get on the Manscaped sponsorship that everyone's trying to get on now, seeing as you are a man who is well endowed when it comes to growing a beard?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, like I said, not at the moment, but I suppose I could if I wanted to. But anyway, I don't know, man. I reckon the Manscaped stuff's pretty cheap. I wouldn't mind Samsung getting behind me. They've got some pretty other good gear as well. That you can sort of you can get onto your Sam rig, if you know what I mean. But anyway,
well, I was trying to get
me, so I'll wait for the millions of dollars to come in before I mention those names again.
I was going to say, man, I was trying to get a Monster Energy sponsorship at one point, but
I want a Red Bull sponsorship. I just want a fridge full of Red Bull for a year. That's all.
I reckon I could get you in contact with someone, Hamish. Dyson, mate, love you watching you race around, mate. I'll probably see you getting around in the NASCAR stuff in the future. But, mate, have a good time racing in anything you're racing in, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, we'll see you guys later. Have fun.
No worries, mate. Thank you. Well, now it is going to become not the Vermilion Show. That's right, Connor, isn't it? Not the Vermilion Show.
No, it's not the Vermilion Show, no.
Definitely not. As we drag in Mr. Faulkner, who absolutely cooked it out there on the last lap, gave us an absolute heart palpitation of excitement just by what could come out of it. But, I mean, Forks balked it in the end, but you still got home with the win. But, I mean, I guess Nurburgring, no matter how far ahead you are, you can still make a mistake.
Yeah, the Porsche's always been pretty sketchy at Nurburgring, and I'm not too experienced at this track. It's a bit of an unknown for me. Probably need to do a lot of practice for the 24-hour. But yeah, just hit the curb and got unsettled in the rear, just had a mind of its own, and then yeah, managed to not get much damage though, so it didn't really affect me too much.
Well, I mean, it's where was Lewis tonight? We noticed that there was no great head action out on track. He was in the chat at the end of it, but no racing. I'm a little bit disappointed to not see the combination of 098 out on track, no matter how egregious having a 0 in front of a number is. And I think he might need to step up his game if he's not going to show up as consistently as what you are. But another win for you. This championship's pretty much in the bag at this point. I think next week you may wrap it up in a little bow with Sebring and the 12-hour happening all in the same weekend. And I'm sure you boys have got an absolute bag's worth of practice in you.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit. I've got a Williams Invitational Sunday morning at 1 a.m, which I'm totally excited for. But yeah, Lewis has been unwell for the last few days, so unfortunately he couldn't make it. He was going to jump in, but we're already at the end of quali, so he just missed it by hair. Unfortunately,
did he have a migraine?
I think he had a stomach bug or something.
I was going to say, if he had a migraine, then he does not have a great head. It's pure irony at that point.
That was a really bad joke, by the way.
It was atrocious. I know how atrocious that was.
I'm gagging at the moment. It wasn't great,
mate. That is not even the pinnacle of how bad this can get.
Ben, mate, I know you're my teammate and boss, but mate, good race out there. So it shows that probably not being in your car for the 24 is probably not the best idea. Your bad luck hit you again. So mate, excited for 12-hour coming up?
Yeah, but we had a good run last year. And this year I'm excited for what the rain brings to the strategy and everything. So it should be a bit more interesting. And yeah, I've been enjoying the rain a lot, so I'm looking forward to it.
100%, mate. Well, go on, shout out all your sponsor, mate, and shout out the family or whoever, mate. Go for it.
Well, of course, we've got Vermilion Motorsports themselves. We've got Vermilion X, which is our new coaching, coming very soon, and some more big announcements coming soon as well in the next couple of weeks. Of course, Berlin Motor Group, Dr. Epoxy, Race Lab Overlays, Burb Designs, Supernova Motorsports, Moser Racing, Hymo Setups. I'd like to thank my dad because I think he's watching still. And yeah, go the Warriors.
Oh, you don't want to know that joke. But well done, Ben, and we'll see you next time. It's good you shout out Dad too. So
thanks, boys.
Thanks.
See you, mate.
Well, Connor, it brings an end to an interesting round at Nurburgring, for
Definitely.
sure. But it was good nonetheless. Gave us an opportunity to have a yarn while some cars went around a 28-kilometre country road of a race circuit. And at the end of the day, that's what more could you ask for, other than all the cars battling it out all the time.
Oh, I think you could ask for a lot of things, but yeah, it was a great race. Like seriously, like it amazes me. Sometimes we don't have a lot of cars, but it still, has great racing, and we can have a good laugh in the commentary box and still have gum under the desk. And yeah, it's great. It's good stuff. And yeah, I think if I'm here next round, which I probably will be at this point,
We'll
but
have
yeah,
to wait and see. We'll have to wait.
Yeah,
and see. It was really so just to give everyone the background on this. So unfortunately, Steph Piccoli, the reason she couldn't be in the comms box was she had her niece dropped off at her house midway through today. It's not like Cinco with his kid where he can put his kid to bed. It's a bit harder for her to really do that at the last minute whilst looking after her niece. So she unfortunately had to back out of the comms box here tonight, which was all good. It was all fine. We then tried to get Pricey in. Pricey was unavailable, as mentioned. He had a date with his wife here tonight, so hopefully that went well for him. So then I asked Connor, I'm like, oh, you want to come in the comms box again? You were here last week. Might as well continue the run and come into Nurburgring with me as well.
You interrupted my business deal tonight and making a setup.
Oh, wow. That's make deals on your own time. Not on company
100%.
time.
I know.
I say that as someone who requested if I could get free juiced energy from Frog Leap.
I asked 2 things tonight. So a brisket, an energy drink, and what was the other thing? Something else.
To be able to make setups for someone, I think. I don't know. I should have asked them for a signed picture of Mark Poynton, because apparently he's my favourite driver and when he was in Split 2. But I tried to get him in my team, and then the Froggies pipped him from me. And I was like, oh, I wanted him in my team.
Did he go to Frog?
He had 1.5 seasons in Vets, and then joined Frog Leap instead of joining Simrix Infinity Motorsport. But that's fine.
What's he doing these days? I haven't seen him in Vets.
Split 1 of Vets next season, mate. He came P2 in the championship last season, so he goes into Split 1 next season. So, I just quickly as well, did you end up checking out my broadcast that I sent you last week?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's good. You say if you watched the whole thing, you would have seen that the narrative was he was coming in battling it out for the championship and finished P2.
Oh, yeah. I watched the podcast. I watched both of them, but I didn't watch the Vets race. That's the only thing I didn't watch. I forgot about that.
It was phenomenal.
I know. I should have. Anyway.
Regardless, though, ladies and gentlemen, we will likely continue our little yarn off screen. But regardless, it's going to bring an end to our race here tonight for the Warren and Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series here on Sim Racing World TV. Thank you for putting up for our nonsense over the last 2 hours whilst we went racing around the Nurburgring. We've got 2 massive rounds to come in this championship. We got Sebring next time out, and then we have Spa for the final round. So you don't want to go anywhere. You want to see what's going to happen across the end of this season. Massive weekend of racing coming up for us here. Sunday night, the V8 Supercars Pro-Am action happening thanks to Warren and Brown Tools. And then the Monday night, Motorsport Australia Formula Vs, which is a Motorsport Australia official series. Big thank you to all of our series sponsors, Warren and Brown Tools, Shannon's Insurance, Motorsport Australia, Shunt Scenery, Grim Industries, NeuroPower, and DSL Rail Services. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe as well, and click the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing across our 6 nights of content here on Sim Racing World TV. It all starts Tuesday nights, the Warren and Brown V8 Supercars Series, and we move over to Wednesdays for the Shannon's Insurance Formula 3 Nationals, which for Season 2 will be becoming the Shannon's Insurance SF24 Nationals when we introduce the Super Formula Lights. Thursday nights, we then move into the Shannon's Insurance Toyota GR86 Nationals, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series. We then come in here for Friday night, the Warren and Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series. Sunday night, as I mentioned, the Warren and Brown Tools V8 Supercars Pro-Am. And then rounding out our racing week, Monday nights, Motorsport Australia Formula V Championship Nationals happening for you. And then we continue it on again. But there's 2 rounds left of this championship, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. But until next time, we'll see you guys Sunday night for the Warren and Brown Tools V8 Supercars Pro-Am. For myself, Hamish Munro, and Connor Nixon, thanks for joining us. We'll see you then, and bye for now.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because, tell you what, Bruce Tanner and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from